Hello everybody, Marcos Villegas here in Las Vegas, being joined with the trainer of Joseph Parker, Kevin Barry, who has a big fight coming up, the heavyweight championship of the world, wanting to unify against Anthony Joshua, Cardiff, Wales. Big fight. I know you guys have been here in Vegas for about a few weeks now. I want to say 4 or 5 weeks, correct, somewhere around there. Camp's been going well. Let me know at this point, what's the objective with Joe? Like, what do you want to bring out at him at this point, and then coming into the fight?
Well, obviously, you know, we've worked on a game plan and fight strategy that we've been working on for the last 5 weeks. So right at the moment, it's very important that the game plan, that we start actually putting it in place. And when I say putting it in place, it's not just working with me on the pads, it's actually in sparring. And this is our 4th week of sparring. He's starting to really click. We're doing some nice rounds, and our game plan he's starting to adopt very well. So everything that we've trained to do is coming into place at the moment.
I read in the interviews that were published and listened that you did over the weekend that
you can't believe everything you read.
No, that's true. That's very true. No, but there was a comment that was made that Joseph made that he hasn't shown everything yet, that the speed and the power hasn't really shown yet in the fights. You seeing him and knowing him so well, is that the case? Have you not seen it fully click yet in fights? Well,
it's not so much the speed and the power, because there's been plenty of fights in the past where we've seen phenomenal hand speed off Joseph Parker. There's been a couple of fights where we've seen one-punch knockout power. So we know he's fast and we know he's powerful. But what has been missing is the complete fight. You know, all I ask for him is to put it together, put everything together on one given day. And I think we saw when Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko, it was his coming out fight. It was his career-defining fight. He fought as good as he could possibly fight. I want Joseph Parker to show the fight fans, and especially show Anthony Joshua on March 31, the complete Joseph Parker that I see in the gym every day, because if that guy comes out, he's going to be very, very hard to beat.
If that guy comes out, what happens in the fight? That's my natural question when you say that.
Well, if that guy fights with the speed and the power and the skill level and the ferocity that I see in the gym, and when I say skill, he does things that other heavyweight fighters just don't do. And if he can put it all together on that night, we will leave the ring with all the belts. But we're up against a very, very big assignment, a very big challenge, a very, very good fighter. A physically strong, physically powerful, 6'6" giant of a man. So it's very important that we do everything right.
Looking at Joseph, he looks trimmer. Obviously, you guys want to work in speed, but going up against a guy as big as Joshua, do you want to be a little bit undersized? There's a method to that. Is it because of the speed, or is there other things?
Well, I tell you what, I think you'll see Anthony Joshua a little lighter in this fight too, and what we've seen so far, he's already well under the 250s where he's fought his last couple of fights. We have experimented. And when I say experimented, let's remember, Joseph Parker is very, very young in his heavyweight career. He's only 5 years in. So, you know, this is not the finished product. The last year, 2017, we put a bit of size on him, a bit of bulk. We were looking forward to some big opponents in the future. But I tell you what, when we actually analysed those couple of performances last year, that extra size and power didn't equate to a better performance. And, you know, both Joe and myself like him lighter. You know, I need Joseph somewhere around 108 kilograms. The last fight with Hughie Fury, he was 112. And I think his feet were a little slow. We cannot afford to have slow feet, you know, against a menacing opponent like Anthony Joshua.
Say, you know, looking at him, I'm thinking maybe he could make a cruiserweight or something like that, because he looks in phenomenal shape. I know that's not the plan. You want him to stay at heavyweight.
Look, hey, look. When you say cruiserweight is 200 pound. Okay, Joe's walking around at 250. Some days 245.
Okay, never mind. That's a lot of weight to cut. He looks a lot trimmer than that. When I saw him the other day, I literally thought he weighed like 225 when I saw him, because he looked very, very trim.
Joseph Parker will never ever weigh 225. If you see the size of his legs, and that's his power base, he's got very, very big legs. Very big, powerful legs that he needs to use in this fight.
You know, you guys have been doing research on Anthony Joshua for a long time. You mentioned that he's been on your radar for 3 years now. From what you saw in the beginning to now, Is he still the same fighter? Has he gone leaps and bounds, or is he still what he is from what you saw at the core, even now to this day?
Look, Anthony Joshua is a fighter who's got better and better. You know, he's obviously the Anthony Joshua of 2018 is a much better fighter than the Anthony Joshua of 2015. You know, and we saw that in the Klitschko fight. You know, we saw that in the Takam fight. You know, he's a very, very skillful, very physical, very powerful guy, and his power has improved with each fight. You know, I think we are getting Anthony Joshua at his best, and that's why it's very important for me to get Joseph Parker to fight at his best when they meet on March 31.
You mentioned it's the right moment at the right time. What makes it the right moment at the right time for you guys to be facing someone like Anthony Joshua?
Well, I think the bigger the challenge in front of Joe, the better he performs. And I think, you know, last year we had a couple of lackluster performances. This is the biggest challenge out there for us. This is the most scary fight that I can put Joseph Parker in. You know, this is for all the belts. When I say that, no disrespect to Deontay Wilder, but you know, this is a fight where the challenge is big enough to bring out the very, very best that Joseph Parker has to offer.
What do you make of Wilder and that whole situation with him, the money that he wants for Anthony Joshua, them saying they want to unify? It seems that it's like they have you guys, and you guys are dead set derailing those plans, but it seems like they're already making plans ahead to go with it, and one would say, looking at on paper from the outside, that they're overlooking you guys and they may be underestimating you guys a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, there's obviously been a lot of reports from Eddie Hearn talking about future opponents for Anthony Joshua.
You mentioned Big Baby Miller right after this fight.
Look, let's remember, that's his job. He's the promoter. I can promise you this. Anthony Joshua, Robert McCracken and the team will not be looking past Joseph Parker. They know that this is the hardest fight that they've ever put themselves in, and this is obviously the hardest fight Joseph Parker's ever been in. So, you know, I know that they have a very professional team. They will not be looking past Joseph Parker.
In terms of Wilder, what do you make of the skills? Because that could be a potential opponent as well for the team.
You know, look, we don't look past the guy in front of us at the moment, and we have a huge task on our hands, and we're not looking, even thinking about any other opponents. But look, you know, when you talk about Deontay Wilder, you know, very, very good fighter, very powerful fighter, a man who has to be respected. He's held the belt a lot longer than Joshua and Joseph Parker has.
Yeah. The heavyweights right now, it's in the best time it's been in the last maybe 10 years probably, you know, because of what happened with the Klitschko situation and Fury dethroning him and scattering the belts. This fight here, do you think it's a thing where Joshua's going to have a really, really hard time being able to set his punches and landing power punches because Parker is going to be so mobile that if he is able to get a punch, it's going to be one and we're going to see Joseph go out of the way?
Well, to answer your question, I hope so. That'll be the plan. That'll be the plan. You know, hey, a big scary guy like Joshua, you don't want to be caught standing in front of him for too long.
Even with the chin that Joseph has, you don't want to get caught.
No, look, you know, our philosophy in training and fighting has always been to get hit as little as you possibly can.
That's the name of the game. Hit and don't get hit.
You know, we're looking for longevity, and obviously, you know, I love my fighter, and you know, I always want him to be hit as little as possible, and that's why, you know, we work very hard on his defence. And Joe doesn't get hit clean very often. You know, a lot of times he's looking like he's getting hit with punches that he's not. He's very good at turning and he's very good at rolling. I think in this fight, you know, when you've got a big guy like Joshua coming at you, you can't afford to be moving away all the time. If you're moving away all the time, you're on the end of his power. Also, if you're moving away, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to touch him because he's got, you know, superior reach, superior height. So there are, you know, obviously movement will play a big part in this fight for us, but there are going to be times when, you know, we'll be the guy attacking, and I think we need to. That's what makes this fight such an exciting fight. I think there's two guys who are putting it all on the line, two young guys, two world champions, two guys who are hungry, two guys who are not afraid of each other and are not afraid to take a risk, and two guys who love to punch and hit hard. You know, as a fight fan, not only as Joe's trainer, but as a fight fan, this is a very exciting heavyweight matchup.
I like it. I like it because of the speed dynamic, and I've always felt that the smaller, speedier heavyweights have always given the bigger guys a lot of problems historically when you've seen the history of boxing. Touching on that now.
Well, the perfect example is Evander Holyfield.
Well, yeah, Evander Holyfield.
Small heavyweight with fast hands.
Yeah.
You know, he just kept pumping that double jab, and he upset, you know, a lot of big guys, you know.
And he lasted a bit longer.
Yeah.
You know, this fight as well. Do you think Joshua will tire out because of the movement, because of the speed, or do you think that will happen in this fight?
Oh, look, I can't really say whether Anthony Joshua is going to tire in this fight. Hey, I hope so. Look, you know, there's obviously been a couple of concerns with the stamina in fights. You know, as I mentioned before, they have a very, very good, very professional team around him. I'm sure they've addressed those issues. You know, I can promise you this, you know, you've seen Joseph Parker go 12 rounds on a number of occasions and gone 12 rounds well. You know, we have good stamina and we train very hard. You know, Joe's makeup is probably a little different. He's not carrying the bulk muscle that Joshua's been carrying.
I know Joe just popped in, so I'm going to go ahead and end it on this. If you guys win, what would it mean?
When we win.
When you guys win, what would it mean for you to be able to take Joseph to not only already have the WBO title, but to get the rest of the belts and get a win over someone like Anthony Joshua?
Well, you know, obviously this is a very big fight. This is a fight that is not only important for Joseph Parker and Kevin Barry, this is a fight that's very important for our country of New Zealand. It's also very important for the country of Samoa. It's also very important for the heavyweight division. It's the first time in 8 years that we've had a unification fight in the heavyweight division. So, you know, when you look at all those aspects, a fight like this really, really excites us. We both know, Joseph and I, we both know the history of this fight. We both know that this will be the fight that Joseph will be remembered for. So, you know, it's a fight that we have to put it all on the line. It's a fight that we have to bring our A game. And it's a fight that I believe will be celebrated by the boxing world. So, you know, we're excited, and I'm very, very, I'm proud to be Joe's trainer, and I'm proud to be part of an event of this size.
I know I said the last question, but I got to ask this. I got to ask this. How do you guys win? What happens? How do you guys win? What happens that night?
Well, what happens?
Yeah.
Oh, wild scenes. Wild scenes, yeah. It'll be crazy.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people, a lot of New Zealanders coming over. We have a lot of New Zealanders living in the UK who have bought tickets for the fight. You know, we're going to have a good lot of support there. We're going to have our families with us, the most important people in the world, and we'll be celebrating very hard.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much.
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. It's about 95 degrees in here for me because I'm wearing this blazer. Got the heater on.
Well, you're right under the heater.
Joseph Parker is about to train. Kevin Barry, the trainer Joseph Parker, unifies with Anthony Joshua coming up on Showtime.